Here's the rundown for today's Philadelphia 76ers. Now the Sixers making an addition to their roster in signing a former first-round pick, and Paul George rumors are heating up as we take a look ahead to NBA free agency. Before we dive into all of that and talk some hoops, if you want the Sixers to beat the Suns, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. A big West Coast road trip for Philadelphia. Got to get a couple of dubs, as we talked about on yesterday's show. A split would be absolutely ideal. So the Sixers signing another first-round pick. It was Kai Jones a few days ago, and now Philadelphia signing former Bucks first-round selection DJ Wilson to a 10-day contract. So Daryl Morey and company pretty busy with these 10 days. Shams Charania breaking the news yesterday. 76ers plan to sign former Bucks first-round pick DJ Wilson to that 10-day. The 6'10" center and forward has averaged 19.4 points, 9.5 rebounds, 4.8 assists for the Osceola Magic in the NBA G League this year. You know what really amazes me is how bad the competition is at the G League level. Any G League player who gets signed to an NBA contract, whether it be a 10-day, a two-way, a standard NBA contract, it's always like these players are putting up monster numbers at the G League level. Then they come to the NBA level, and they can't even sniff playing time. So the level of competition at the G League level doesn't even compare to the Euro League, professional leagues in China, the NBL in Australia. It's simply not even close. But of course, when you talk about a player who was taken in the first round, has a little bit of pedigree. It did happen a while ago. He was the 17th overall pick by Milwaukee all the way back in 2017. 2017 to 2020, that's when he was with the Milwaukee Bucks. He's with the Houston Rockets for 2 years, 2021, 2022 with the Toronto Raptors, and for Wilson, hasn't been able to get back to the NBA level since. The Sixers had one open two-way roster spot, so in a way, this is an opportunity for them to fulfill that vacant roster spot, and this makes some sense with the Kai Jones injury. Kai Jones balled out. Hadn't played basketball in months at a competitive level. Plays well in his first game with the Delaware Bluecoats. Plays 30 minutes. Next game, hurts his hamstring. Don't necessarily agree with the strategy there to play a player that much cold, coming off cold, and him not having played in a little while. But because Kai Jones went down, makes some sense to bring in DJ here. Let's welcome him to Philadelphia. Type DJ down in the comment section right now. See if he can do anything. Highly doubt that he can. One thing we do know, he's going to be able to put up numbers at the G League level. Coming up next here on the show, is Paul George going to leave the Clippers? Never came to an agreement on a max contract extension with the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers did give Kawhi Leonard the bag, but what is going on with Paul George? In some NBA circles, the rumors are on the uptick, and the Philadelphia 76ers have been mentioned. First, let's give a shout out to our sponsor for today's show. That is Factor Meals. You can get 50% off when you use the code SixersChat50 at factormeals.com/SixersChat50. Do you want to save time? Do you want to eat well? Do you want to skip meal planning, meal prepping, grocery shopping, and cleaning up? Factor's your solution. Eating better is easy with Factor as well with their ready-to-eat meals. Every fresh, never frozen meal, chef-crafted, dietitian approved, ready to eat in just a couple of minutes. You'll have over 35 different options to choose from every week, including Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Also, there are more than 60 add-ons to help you stay fueled up, feeling good all day long. What are you waiting for? Get started today and get after your goals with these 2-minute meals, pancakes, smoothies, more, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, snacks, add-ons. Pick your pre-made meals. Everything is prepped and cooked to perfection, delivered straight to your door. You heat them up, you enjoy them. Their smoothies are also good, and you get 50% off. FactorMeals.com/SixersChat50. Let's round out the show with the latest on Paul George. We've talked about him a couple of times here on the show. Could the Sixers actually sign him? They have the most cap space in the NBA going into the offseason. Rumors indicate that Los Angeles might not re-sign him. Here's John Hollinger of The Athletic. Kyle Neubeck's also been on this on the local front. First, we start with Hollinger of The Athletic. Keep an eye on Paul George, by the way. Presumably, if there was a max extension sitting around for him, he would have signed it by now. I think it's fair to say a couple of cap room teams in the East are, quote, monitoring this. And what do you know? Philadelphia with a lot of cap space. The East teams with the most cap. Philadelphia 76ers with the projected $76 million in the bank account here. Detroit Pistons with 75. Orlando Magic with 62. Toronto Raptors with 43. Charlotte Hornets with 40. I don't think Paul George is a player who is going to go to an organization that has no chance of winning. And that's where you can factor in the Pistons. The Raptors' future is a little bit suspect. Definitely the Charlotte Hornets, as they continue to be a dumpster fire and a joke. You have to worry a little bit about the Orlando Magic. No state income tax, beautiful weather, really good young roster with Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero. They have a lot of guards. They're also in the thick of things in the Eastern Conference playoffs. But you get the major market with Philadelphia. You get two superstars with Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, and you can get a bag with an opportunity to win a championship. Here's Kyle Neubeck on the Philly front. My understanding is when Kawhi signed that extension, the Clippers set their ceiling. Kawhi's getting this. He's the top of our market for our guys that we have. I don't think Paul George wants to be I'm taking even more of a discount than that guy. I think Paul George, knowing this is his last opportunity potentially to get a big contract, looks at it and says, I want max money. I want as much as I can get. And the Philadelphia 76ers can give him a lot of dough. Now, why would Paul George ever want to leave LA? You get that great weather, moving into a new arena, really good team. They could be one of the favorites to come out of the West. But put yourself in the shoes of PG for just a second. You're 33 years old. You're still playing at a really high level. You have one more chance to cash out as far as getting a max contract. And you just saw your teammate get paid. But you're not getting what you want. And if you're Paul George, at times you've been the better, more available player than Kawhi Leonard. And clearly, the Clippers are putting their eggs in the basket of Kawhi Leonard. They're giving him that max contract, and I'm waiting for mine. They clearly are hesitant in giving me that big deal. Why not go to Philadelphia? It's a big move across the country, but I team up alongside Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. They make my job easier. I have a really good head coach in Nick Nurse, one of the best in the game. I'm going to make a lot of money, and I can chase a Larry O'Brien trophy while not having the sole pressure on me offensively because I'm on a good roster, and we can round out the team with other good players as well. The Sixers offer Paul George the best of both worlds, a max contract and a chance to win. Look at what Paul George has done over his last 4 years. The numbers continue to be good. I don't see, as far as his athleticism, overly concerning trends of decline. And when you're playing alongside Embiid and Paul George, I think you can put up these numbers pretty damn easily because you're going to get open looks. You can't really double team any of the players on this team. It's been a long time since Philadelphia's had a scoring wing going back to Jimmy Butler. Don't tell me Tobias Harris is that. And obviously the conversation becomes, do you give Paul George the max? Producer Chip, what would you do? Is a max contract for a soon-to-be 34-year-old off-injured star too big of a risk for the 76ers to take? You got to go all in. The timeline to win a championship for me right now. What do you say?
That's exactly it. Look, it's certainly a risk with somebody like Paul George. He's aging. He has that injury history and doesn't have the greatest playoff resume of all time. But, man, you look at the team you have now. You look at where Joel Embiid is at in his career. You got to go all in. I don't know how many more years of prime Joel Embiid you really have left. So if you have a chance to go sign a player like Paul George, this would be the greatest big three of sorts that they've had in the Joel Embiid era. I mean, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, If he wants to come to Philly, you don't got to give up anything per se. You just sign him and let Tobias Harris walk. Could you imagine this team right now if you replaced Tobias Harris with Paul George?
Oh,
Are you kidding me?
So much better.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm doing it. I'm taking the risk. I think they should.
And you think about how much better you get defensively with Paul George as compared to Tobias Harris, and you think about some of the great big threes under Joel Embiid, and I guess using the word great is a little bit lofty, but when it was Embiid and Jimmy Butler, it was Ben Simmons as that third option. And you look at what they've had the last couple of years, James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, short sample size there. I think you'll go with the Paul George big three over that big three.
You get that wing, it works out perfectly. You got your guard in Maxey, you got your wing in Paul George, who, as you said, two-way player. He's going to play on both ends. He can be your closer. You have three guys that can close games. It gives you a much better chance against teams like the Celtics, who the Sixers have been looking for that wing for so long.
Yeah.
This gives you guard, wing, big. It's the perfect roster construction. I think it's a perfect fit.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it happen.
And I see some of the Tyrese Maxey slander in the comments. He's not a good defender. He's a pretty damn good defender. He's quick, he's active, he's aggressive. He could play the passing lanes, pick up steals. Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Paul George, everybody's going to salivate over the offensive possibilities. But how about the defensive possibilities too? And if you don't want to go Paul George, what's next best? LeBron James, is that realistic? I don't see him uprooting from L.A. with him being in the entertainment business and going to the East Coast. So what say you? Should the Sixers give Paul George a max contract? Give us a Y for yes or an N for no. Join the conversation down below in the comments section. If my boy Jeremy Belak is watching, who's on the production crew for the LeBron JJ Redick podcast, my man, congratulations on all of your success. Thanks for being a real one and tuning in.